Let me get over
We're
there.
going, Eric. We're live, buddy. M across the board. Welcome in. Eric is mobile, so we excuse his camera work here. He's going to give us a view right now. I think he's holding it on purpose here. So
we are live from Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas, Nevada. I love that voice.
All right, show us, Eric. Enough of do the big reveal.
Can you see it?
No, we can't see anything. There we go. There we go. Your hand must have been over it. So can you see? Look at that. Allegiant Stadium, Shaun. Eric's in Vegas, so he's remote. I'm in Malta. Shaun is in Galway. In for the other Shaun Martin. Shaun, thanks for being with us. Eric, thank you for, you're on West Coast time here. So thanks for giving up your, I know you're busy with conferences and dinners and parties and hot weather and things. So thanks for hanging out.
It's also fun to be in a bar and see all these games in the 8th and 9th inning. Finals.
Yeah, right? You get to see it early and then go to bed.
That's right.
That's nice.
Yes.
All right. Our guest today, Eric, is Shaun Evans. He's filling in for Shaun Martin here. But this is a guy who, when you hear his story, Shaun, I lived through this and it's hard to believe. But you've just come out with a book, Better Together. I have the book. I just finished it. But I just lent it to my neighbor, Lonnie, who I think you know. She's from Galway, and she's like, I have to read the book because being from Galway, there are so many stories that I think I can appreciate. Thank you for being with us. And what's new with you guys?
It's kind of a whirlwind of a spring here. School has just ended for the boys, and we're progressing into our summer routine. And I've started coaching Simon's summer track club, which has been a lot of fun. We're headed to New York City this weekend. He's competing in the USATF National Outdoor Youth Track and Field Championships down there with his 4x8 team. So that's been keeping us busy. It's a lot of fun.
So he's just like dad, likes to run.
Yeah, we actually had the whole family at the track for practice last night. Seamus was there in his Freedom Grit chair, which he pumps to get around. He was doing some laps. Wow. Simon was there with his team. I was coaching, and Nicole was there with a couple friends walking. So it was a family event last night.
All right. Eric, I'm going to have him tell his story, a little bit of background. Listen, if you read the book Better Together, which you should, because it's fantastic. Eric, it's coming to you next after Lonnie reads it.
Thank you.
Shaun, can you quickly just kind of synopsis, what you guys were able to accomplish in the summer of 2015 and how it all came about, obviously, as quickly as you can. You spent a lot of years writing a book about it, so it's not easy to put in, succinct words.
Yeah. So the book it's a memoir. It chronicles my upbringing, meeting my wife, and then through college and all that. And then having Seamus, our son, he's now 16. He was born with cerebral palsy, which obviously leads itself to some challenges along the way. But our family has always tried to overcome any obstacles and figure out ways to adapt and accommodate Seamus. He came up with a big dream when he was about 6 or 7 years old to run across America. I was a runner. I was sharing my passion with my son, and he took it and ran with it. No pun intended. But yeah. He came up with the dream to run from coast to coast. And that became our family mission leading up to 2015. And the book kind of tells the story about how all that came about. And then the actual mission itself in running 3,200 miles in 60 days.
Shaun, I grew up in a small town similar to Galway, Dennis, Massachusetts. And I think it's special because you grew up in a place that small town values really matter, don't they? And they've adopted. It's wonderful to have you back there, of course, and celebrities and all. You could probably be the city councilman or something. But talk about that, because there's nothing better than growing up in a small town where everybody knows everybody and everybody has everybody's back too.
Yeah, it's been such an important part of Seamus's life to, kind of grow up with all the kids that he's been in school with. But not only for Seamus, I think it's been a great experience for all of his classmates to have him in their class, because otherwise, honestly, they probably wouldn't have been exposed to a child with some different abilities like Seamus has. Seamus uses a wheelchair to get around. He's the only one in school, K through 12, that uses a wheelchair. So he is the diversity inclusion for Galway. And yes, they have our backs. But I think that they've learned as much from him as he's gained from their support.
Shaun, when Seamus came up with this idea, I know it was kind of like, yeah, okay. And he kept at it until you really were kind of forced to say, like, yeah, let's see how we can figure it out and do it. There was a lot of help along the way. Obviously, you had to fundraise, which the book talks about that. But how much of a role did Ainsley's Angels and teaming up with them help you to not only get this mission off the ground, but then to fuel the mission? Because we haven't talked about it yet, but you guys gave back every step of that 3,200-mile journey.
Right. So when Seamus came up with the idea, the way that he really sold us on it was when he said that he wanted to donate chairs to kids like him so they could feel what it was like to go fast. And once he said that, we really tried to put wheels into motion to make it work. And that's when Ainsley's Angels came aboard and said, what can we do to help? We want to be part of the mission. And it became, from a family adventure or mission to really a nationwide effort on the part of Ainsley's Angels to get as many chairs to kids across the USA as we could. And we ended up donating 35 chairs on our journey just that summer. And we've donated so many more since that time. And we've helped to spread the mission of Ainsley's Angels because we've developed ambassadorships along the way.
Now, of course, Boston Marathon is very special in my heart growing up with it. And the Red Sox playing, I know I can't mention Red Sox to you. We'll get into that later, but it's really amazing to think that the Boston Marathon years ago just had men, then women were allowed, and now they let folks like you, your son, run. That has to be such an incredible experience, and it's really a family atmosphere. The one time that I went and saw everybody supporting each other, and especially in your case, you two.
Yeah, I mean, there's no race like Boston. I've run Boston 8 times on my own, and as soon as Seamus turns 18, we'll run it together. And one of the cool things about our run across America is Dave McGilvery, who is the race director of the Boston Marathon, texted me nearly every single day because in 1978 he had run across America. I think he was raising money for the Jimmy Fund at the time. So he had done that, and he just kind of inspired me and talked to me and, picked me up when I was feeling low. It was neat for me to be able to communicate with somebody of the stature of Dave McGilvery along the way. So there's the tie, back to bringing it full circle.
Shaun, there's a ton of stories that I could bring up. One in particular that will resonate, I think, with Eric too. So Eric, Shaun tells a story about a writer from Runner's World coming to meet up with him and doing a story on him, but also because this writer didn't necessarily believe that what he was doing was actually happening. He wanted to basically give the truth, see that there was some truth to it but I laughed because Shaun was a little bit offended that he didn't believe them. But I thought to myself, yeah, I get it. Like, there are so many people out there, especially those of us who aren't, avid runners, who think like 50 to 60 miles a day. There's no way this guy is doing that. So it's just kind of funny to see it from that perspective. But Shaun, can you put into perspective, sneakers, calories, pit stops, water, like your weight loss, everything that physically for you went into trying to make this happen? Because for some of us, it's hard to imagine anyone human being able to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was all the logistical planning and then the physical training to try and get ready for the run. We had basically 18 months to put it all together. So trying to get my body in shape and work with a nutritionist to figure out how many calories I would need to consume, getting myself ready to run through the Rocky Mountains was something that, I tried to take everything into consideration because I knew we'd be running at altitude of, 2 miles high, and running at elevation is a challenge. So there was just so many logistical pieces involved with the training as well. And it was 15,000 calories a day, 37 pairs of sneakers that we burned through. And my wife, I always say that my wife is the true hero of the summer because all I had to do was be out there running, but Nicole was taking care of everything else, including making sure that I was fed and hydrated and, as healthy as I could be at the end of every day. And she did a phenomenal job because I finished intact.
Tell us about the people that you meet around the country and putting the smiles on because they see what you're doing. Because we hear it all the time. We need good news. We need good news. Yes, you're bringing good news to people. You're bringing courage. You're bringing determination. You're bringing your heart. Just talk about some of the reaction of the people that you met during this journey.
Yeah, we were bringing good news, but they were also reminding us that there's so many good people out there because when we needed help, people were there to help. And yeah, we were inspiring and they wanted to be part of the mission, but there were just so many strangers out there that gave us whatever we needed, whether it be a case of water or snacks or gas cards to fill the RV. They donated campgrounds, they donated hotel rooms, and on and on. And there were just so many good people. And then, of course, the smiles on the faces of the kids that we were donating chairs to and those families. And to see how they've used those chairs in the 7 years that since the time that we've run across America. It really feels like we made a difference, and those kids made a huge difference in our lives, because those were the days that were the highlights of our journey, really.
Shaun, since then, like you said, Seamus was 7 at the time. He's now 16. He took the first steps out of the Puget Sound to start this journey. He took the steps at the halfway point, I know, and then he took the steps at the end in New York City, Pelham Bay, and walked into the Atlantic. So, Eric, he literally took the first steps out of the Pacific, the last steps into the Atlantic to complete this journey. How is Seamus? And does that moment, like, there were moments in this book where I literally got chills thinking about it. And those are some of the events that I wasn't there for, and I was lucky enough to witness the end of the journey in Pelham Bay.
Yeah, it's kind of bittersweet at this point to think back to some of those things, because Seamus doesn't ambulate anymore. He can't even really take a few steps without me holding on to him. And at that time, he could walk independently, at least for short distances, with a walker. And it's not that his disease has progressed. It's just that his body has gotten bigger and he isn't quite able to do it. So I think back fondly on those days. But yeah, I mean, it's surreal even to think back to those moments.
Neil Armstrong would be proud, because your son took 2 big steps for man, and 2 giant steps for mankind too. The story is amazing, and it's great to hear. I've driven across country, and we didn't want to go to these chain places. You go to the diners, you go to the places where you could meet people. We went to a town hall one night, so it's really nice that you find that people will step up, and when they see courage and determination, they want to be a part of it, don't they?
Oh, without a doubt. And what a way for us to see America, because we were avoiding the highways and the byways, and we were really on back roads of the USA, from coast to coast, because we couldn't be on the highways. We would try and find routes that took us on the back roads, and we were running through towns with populations in the double digits, literally. And yeah, you mentioned those diners, they'd welcome us in and they'd give us a free meal and give us a t-shirt. And it was so cool to see how everybody responded and how
Actually,
everybody
he could have added to my hat collection, couldn't he?
He could have. We didn't know at the time. If I knew you had a hat collection, I would have asked him to pick a few up for you along the way.
I wear one every week, Shaun. Every week I have a hat of the week. Yeah, every week.
Yeah,
Seamus and I actually ran the Las Vegas Marathon in 2014 as we were getting ready as part of our training for our run across America. We went out to Vegas and ran they call it run the strip at night in November.
Yeah, you either run it at 5 a.m. or 9 p.m.
Yeah, it was the 9 p.m.
Right now, you can get a tee time or a pickleball court any way you want for a good reason. You don't want it.
I bet.
I've been to Vegas once, and it was like the second hottest week on record. Every single day I was there, it was 118 degrees. And people are always like, it's dry heat, it's dry heat. I'm like, there's no such thing as 118 degree dry heat. Like you get in the pool, you get out of the pool, and it literally just disappears off of you. The water disappears. It's
I said before, Shaun, that I went out, I grew up on a beach. So I went out, laid down a little bit, and I hear this sizzling. I felt like an egg. I just jumped right in the water. If I want a fried egg, I'll go to the buffet. Thank you very much.
No doubt. Well, you guys aren't done yet, Shaun. You guys talked about the Boston Marathon when Seamus turns 18. I know that's a goal of yours, but you just shared something with us before we came on the show that you guys have been invited to World Athletic Championships in Oregon. How did that come about? Yes, absolutely. How did that come about? And how excited are you for the opportunity to bring Seamus out to Oregon?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, over the past 6 to 9 months, Ainsley's Angels has partnered with ASICS, and ASICS is a sponsor of the event out in Oregon. So they welcomed Ainsley's Angels, and Ainsley's Angels said, what better representatives of our organization than Shaun and Seamus? So we'll be headed out there mid-July, and we'll go out there and run a 5K as part of the festivities, and then get to take in all the sights and the athletic events that are going on. There'll be a marathon and then all the stuff on the track. So Seamus, it'll be our first time headed to Oregon. We made it to, we started in Washington, but now we'll check a new state off the list when we head west here in a few weeks.
Very cool.
And the home of Nike, by the way, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's the thing.
I mean, it's Tracktown, USA. It'll be in
You got
Eugene,
it.
Oregon. So it's, I mean, it's going to be special to me. I grew up, when I really got into running, a big Steve Prefontaine fan, and we'll be able to see some of that history while we're out there too.
Awesome. Shaun, before I read your book, I'm on a book a month thing. That's my New Year's resolution. Before I read your book, which is my favorite book that I've read, I read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Right.
If you haven't read it, it's a really good read. They talk a lot about Steve Prefontaine and just kind of how Phil made Nike from nothing, literally nothing, something called the Blue Ribbon Company, to something that's a multi-billion-dollar industry and company. So that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, neat.
You're a Yankees fan. We've texted about the Yankees a lot.
I'm
So we
outnumbered
can't.
2-1.
I know Eric's a Red Sox fan.
I've taken in a lot of Red Sox games over the years, though. We're big baseball fans. Yeah.
There you go. Well, we can't let you go without asking about the Yankees. I know we've talked a lot about it. I know Simon, your youngest son, loves Aaron Judge, wants to pay him all the money in the world. How much fun have you guys had? And I know baseball is a huge part of your family life. You guys did the Field of Dreams in Iowa. How much fun is it for you guys to watch the Yanks together? And what do you think of this year's team?
Oh man, what a season! And Eric's talking about being able to catch the 8th and 9th innings at a regular hour out there. I've been staying up every single night to hear the ends of these exciting games with all the comebacks and stuff. It's been a fun season. And I grew up in the 80s and early 90s, and the Yankees really weren't that good. And then the strike shortened year, and then Mattingly's first year to get to the playoffs in 95, and that was really it for him. And then is when they really lit it up with Jeter in 96. And then I got to see a lot of success through my college years, which was great because I went to school in southern New Hampshire, so I was surrounded by Red Sox fans.
Yeah, New England country.
Oh, what school was that?
It doesn't even exist anymore. You'll read it in the book, but it was Notre Dame College. It was in Manchester, New Hampshire, and they actually closed the year that I got my master's degree.
Baseball always finds its way in American fabric. We remember the tragic marathon bombing, of course, and when the trophy was won, and I do think it inspired them. I think the city and everything inspired Boston that day. But when the trophy was put at the finish line, and I used to do some stats. I was in a backup crew doing the stat inputting for Red Sox games, and I was there on a marathon Monday. And it's the only 11 a.m. game start around the country, and every player says that's cool.
Oh yeah, when I was a kid, my dad would take me. One of his college roommates lived in Massachusetts, and when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the Marathon Monday game. We'd go watch the game, and then at that time, the marathon used to start at noon. They've since moved the start time to 10 o'clock, but so we could watch the game and then go out and watch the marathoners pass. So that's a memory that I have when I was a little guy.
Heartbreak Hill, Ashley. Oh my God.
I've heard a lot about it. I've never been. I know Chris has been to a marathon. I would like to go just be a part of Patriots Day and see it all. That's like one of the few times I'd be okay going to like a Red Sox game, hanging out in Boston. I love the city of Boston. I just have a hard time getting behind their sports teams.
Well, when Shay and I run the Boston Marathon, you'll have to come out. And,
perfect. I'll come out and cover it. That'll be the best excuse to be in Boston for the marathon. You're right. Perfect. That is exactly what I will do. Well, Shaun, we appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure. Great to visit with you guys today.
The book is Better Together. Where can we get it? When can we get it? How can we get it before you get out of here?
Yeah, the best place to get it right now is Ainsley'sAngels.org. You can order it online, but I have been in touch with some local bookstores throughout the Capital Region, and you'll see it on their shelves shortly. All the local bookstores in the Capital Region will have it. But the best place and easiest place is Ainsley'sAngels.org, the Finish Line store there, Better Together. You can get a signed copy too.
Signed copy. I got mine signed.
And please give our best to Seamus, so we hope we get to get out to Galway and say hello to you sometime too.
Yeah, we look forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Shaun, thanks so much. We'll see you a little bit later.
Have a good day.
How cool. Very, very cool.
Very nice, Ashley. Thank you so much.
Great guy. Awesome story. It doesn't get any better than that. We'll use his segue of the Yankees into some baseball, but you want to give us a read real quick?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I did a lot of baseball stats, scoring. I was called a stat geek.
Yeah.
Well, it's time to talk about Seat Geek, because this summer, if you're looking to buy tickets for your favorite band, sports team, venue, or more, remember to buy your tickets at SeatGeek, SeatGeek. Visit SeatGeek.com to search for the event that you want to buy tickets for this summer. If your total ticket buy is over $50, use the promo code GOZ. That's GOZ. GOZ to get $20 off your purchase. Any ticket purchase over $50 from SeatGeek.com, then use the promo code GOZ to get $20 off that order. So save some money and enjoy the summer by using SeatGeek.com and promo GOZ. SeatGeek.
All right, we're going to do baseball. So why don't you read Johnstone too while you're at it? You got Johnstone?
Sure do.
Johnstone they are our sponsor of all things baseball related. They're big baseball guys. So let's do it.
As if I could open this window. Summer is here. Hell, summer is here 12 months a year. Summer is here back home in upstate New York, and you can feel the heat here and up there. If you want to stay cool all summer long, indoors, call Johnstone Supply in Troy. Ask the team at Johnstone Supply about their high-efficiency central AC systems and ductless mini splits. Goodman, Fujitsu, and Westinghouse are all in stock and at great prices. Need someone to help you install a new system? Johnstone Supply Troy can help with that too. So give Tom, Kev, James, or Bert a call, and they help put you in a cooler place this summer. To stay cool all summer long, call Johnstone Supply in Troy at 518-272-5922 or visit them at 2600 6th Avenue in Troy. Get a new AC system today by calling 518-272-5922 or connecting online at johnstonesupply.com.
All right, Eric, we have seen the Yanks be kind of like world beaters this year. They're 55-20, 12 and a half games up on the Red Sox, who have played some good baseball, but just haven't been able to make up ground because the Yankees are winning too much, basically. But we've seen some flaws. We saw something in the Astros series that maybe we haven't seen in a long time. Number one, they got no hit. And number two, they got no hit for like 16 plus consecutive innings before they broke out of that slump. This is my question to you as a non-Yankees fan. Are the Astros the biggest challenge, the biggest nemesis standing in the way of the New York Yankees?
Oh, I would say so, yes. What's interesting is that it's a remarkable start, and it is not sustainable. It doesn't mean they're not going to win 106 games. They're putting up records like the Mariners team did that year. We saw what happened to them in the playoffs. But the Yankees have just been absolutely incredible. And everybody freaks out about a no-hitter combined, and then the next day, it's baseball. It's a long season. Aaron Judge is awesome, but he won't hit 222 homers. So people need to cool it a bit and understand that. I think it's remarkable because of the division they're in, Ashley. You have three other teams going. All three could get in the wild card that's expanded now. But yes, as for the Astros, I think they're very dangerous. The pitching, Javier finally showed the world. I've always been a fan of him with his 15 Ks. He had to come out because of the pitch count, just like the days of Roger Clemens and Nolan Ryan, where they had to come out with a pitch count because of 15 Ks. But he is a sleeper, and he's been really big for them. And right now, the setback with them is Michael Brantley. I mean, this guy is a 300 hitting machine every single year. Reports, because I know a family member of his in our neighborhood, by the way, says that he's thinking of retiring, and his uncle's saying, "What are you, nuts? You hit 300 every year. You'll always get a contract." Not many people can do that. So I agree with you. I would think they are the team to watch for. Toronto against the Yankees didn't look good at all. They turned into the Twins. I just don't see any other team, literally, at this point that could give them a run for their money.
Yeah, other than the Dodgers, who they would see in the World Series.
In the AL.
In the AL, the Astros are certainly the most competitive. They also just don't match up well against the Astros, Eric. It seems like in the past few years when they've seen them in the playoffs, it's been tough. Number one, some of those times the Astros had Garrett Cole, which they don't anymore. But they've still got a guy, oh, by the way, named Justin Verlander, who we saw the day before the no-hitter. I think he only gave up one run in a game against them, and that was a loss. They didn't hit well against him. They're a really bad matchup for them. And the problem with the Yankees, the knock on them has been, for good reason, is that they'll hit all season long during the regular season. And then when it comes to October and you face the best pitching in the world, because you're going to only get 3 starters. You're not going to get 4 or 5 starters. You're going to get the top 3 from everyone. So
and those two come out of the pen. You're good 4 or 5 guys. Now you could see in the 6th and 7th inning.
Exactly. So when you face teams like the Astros, who have a great 1, 2, 3, this shows their true colors. So I was a little worried because the Astros series, I think, was going to be very telling. But unlike past years, even when the Yanks were down, Aaron Judge brought them back. So they were down in the first game of the series, he walked it off. The last game of the series, he walked it off again. So that's something that we haven't seen from the Yankees in past years. They have a different feel, but I'm still not convinced that this team won't just kind of roll over when they face a team like the Astros in the playoffs.
Well, and I know I'm going to get yelled at for saying credit to Houston. Okay, let's put the stuff behind them. Let's give Dusty the credit and look at what they've accomplished. It's over. It's done. I know there's a few guys there, but Houston lost Carlos Correa for nothing. They lost George Springer for nothing, and here they are. And those are key positions right up the middle. Now, the kid at short has been hurt of late, but Jeremy Pena, they were not going to throw 10 years, Ashley, to Correa because of this kid Pena, who can steal, great glove. And some of them say he could be the best, most talented player on our squad in the near future. So it's remarkable that the new GM that replaced that idiot Luno, who's now owning a soccer team, I guess, was able to keep that farm system going and not bankrupt this organization on two players, right?
Yeah, no doubt. Dusty's done a great job. And listen, a guy like Jeremy Pena, I'm pretty sure he's from Maine, right? Is that he played baseball in Maine? So he's an America East guy, which is a mid-major, small conference. That just goes to show you can find talent anywhere. And we've seen that before. Listen, you get high schoolers drafted who are in the majors a couple years later. So we've seen it before. But how about a guy like Mark Appel? How about that? A guy who was a #1 overall pick out of baseball for 2+ years, back to the minors, and had just recently gotten called up by the Phillies. Like, baseball is, I'm going to say, the greatest sport in the world because, listen, it's America's pastime, but I just think you're not going to get stories like that out of other sports. Baseball, those stories in baseball are what make it great.
When he was with Tri-City, and you covered him, top prospects. I mean, they draw great crowds anyway. Everybody was so excited, similar to the kid that was a Met prospect. But I thought he was done. All of a sudden, he pops up and in the pen.
Okay, never mind. You were frozen for a sec.
Daniel Bard is the person I was talking about.
Okay.
He came up with Boston a power arm in the pen, and then he had some unfortunate issues other than physical. And all of a sudden, he comes back with the Rockies lights out, and now he's one of the big bullpen arms to look at the trade deadline with the 38 contender wannabes. Somebody's going to get Colorado a great package for a guy like that. I guess you and I should have Tommy John surgery because everybody that does comes back on fire.
Yeah, better than ever.
Awesome.
Yep. And the same thing with you remember Matzik from the Braves. That was a guy who couldn't throw to anybody, lost total control, down to the minors. I think even to independent ball, came back and then won a World Series last year with the Atlanta Braves. So there's just nothing like baseball in so many ways. But how about the Red Sox? They were playing some bad baseball early on in the year. They've seemed to have turned a corner. I know they're not making up a ton of ground because of the gap that's with the Yankees. My guess is they'll make up some of it. But listen, you've got them at 12.5, Toronto at 13, and Tampa Bay at 14. That division is jam-packed, but they're playing really good baseball.
They could win possibly at least two of the other divisions in baseball.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair statement. They could possibly win the West, probably the NL Central, 22-11 at one point. Nick Pivetta, another, where did that come from?
Yep.
Just a great pickup. This is a guy, and you've seen it in sports throughout, the term change of scenery. Here we go again. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, you're there. You're there. I see you.
Mandalay Bay, what's the deal? Talk about Nick Pivetta, change of scenery. That's all he needed. He needed to get out of Philadelphia. Terry Francona needed to get out of Philadelphia. Worked well for him. Pivetta has been amazing. I think the one I never saw coming was Michael Wacha. Yep. He looks as dominant and as confident as he did as a young Cardinals pitcher. So they're doing this without Eovaldi. I will believe that Sale will take the mound when I actually see it. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's similar, not as strong as the Mets, But the Mets doing it without DeGrom all that time, for the Red Sox to do this without Sale, it's pretty similar, right?
Yeah, that it's very similar. And it's kind of, I think the Mets are just a little more surprising because they're doing it without DeGrom and Scherzer. But yeah, you're right. There have been names like Pavetta or Tyler McGill, or Chris Bassett, who Chris Bassett was an all-star, so he's not quite as surprising when he's done well. But like Taijuan Walker, those guys have been really good and good enough to keep this Mets team and the Red Sox team in the hunt, at least. Because listen, if you can come in second or even third in the AL East, you're probably going to go to the playoffs. They might take both wild cards and get in the playoffs, which is unbelievable. Listen, I know. So Dave Roberts the other day, I think it was yesterday, said his division is the best in baseball. His division is really good. I don't think it's better than the AL East.
I would agree with that. I mean, I think he's looking at the Padres, and that's fine. I don't think it's as deep. But I will say this. You mentioned these pitchers. Like, where did Joe Musgrove come from? Where has he been? Look at what he's doing with the Padres. Oh, that's right. A Houston prospect, right?
He was with the Valley Cats,
8-1, 2.12 ERA. He had 3 earned runs allowed and 5 starts, and he's a free agent. You think the money's, if I had my Monopoly money again, I'd be throwing it in the air
like
we
did
around. In the show. But, and Darvish, good for him.
Yep. Yeah, it's finally working for him in San Diego,
Sitting there at 7 wins, too. So,
yeah.
Agree with you. That division does not compare.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're going to do a quick Stanley Cup wrap up here, but before we do that, I'm going to get you a read in here. Mohawk Honda, our guys at Mohawk Honda. At Mohawk Honda, the team can find what you're looking for by searching our lot or the entire Eastern Seaboard just for you. But the real opportunity for you right now is either trading in or selling your vehicle. Mohawk Honda buys cars, and in some cases, you may be able to sell it for more than you paid for it. The supply chain is still facing challenges, which creates a selling opportunity for you. And as always, the team at Mohawk Honda will make the buying and selling experience very easy. You know them as Cars with Kern, Trust Trav Landry, Luis the VIP Man Morales, C-Mac Let's Do a Deal McKenna, Drive with Deanna Coles, or you can just talk to the leader in charge, and that's GM Greg Johnson. At Mohawk Honda on Freeman's Bridge Road in Scotia, they want to buy your car, and they always go out of their way to please you. That's our favorite part, right, Eric?
That is our favorite part. Point.
Eric, we got to give props to Shaun Martin, who is not here.
Yes, we do.
This week. He's enjoying some time away, but that guy picked the Avs, I believe, to start the season. Did you pick the Avs to start the season?
No, I did not.
Oh,
he did.
Okay.
He did, and he picked them in 6, too, for the Cup, didn't he?
Well, then he wins.
That's right.
He wins all the prizes. All the prizes. But we've talked a lot about Cale Makar on this podcast. You know, Shaun, having seen him play when he was in college because of visiting, whether it's RPI or Union, and that overlap. But this is a guy who has done something that I don't think anyone else has done before. Eric, this is crazy. So he won the Hobie in college. He won the Calder as the NHL's best rookie.
Yeah.
He won a Stanley Cup. He has now won a Conn Smythe. He has won every trophy on the planet when it comes to a hockey player, and the guy is 23 years old.
The EGOT of hockey, isn't it?
He's literally has one for every hand.
And I bet he'll win an Olympic gold, too.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if he does.
Absolutely remarkable player. I said in the last show, his speed is what really impresses me too, and his ice time. Okay, there was one game in the series where an average shift, Ray Ferraro said, is about 35 seconds. You get to 40, you're out of gas. They had a 3-minute, 20-second.
I remember seeing that. Yeah,
remember that?
Yep.
I mean, I was like, just watching.
They couldn't get off the ice.
You couldn't get off the ice, but. The thing I want to start off with here is Nathan McKinnon, obviously. Finally gets the Cup. He came through in this big game with the tying goal, assisted that pretty pass McKinnon to win it. He had only had 1 goal through the first 5 games, but he's a class act. He got it, and he's only one of 5 players in NHL history. This is amazing, that have averaged more points per playoff game than Nathan McKinnon, just 5 more than him.
Yep.
And think about, as I said, he had that dry run to the playoffs. Isn't that remarkable? Good for him.
Unbelievable. Yeah, he's been great. And he kind of, and listen, he's still young, but he has kind of seen this franchise go from 5 years ago, they missed the playoffs. 5 or 6 years ago, they missed the playoffs. I think that was Bednar's first season. The next year, they got eliminated in the first round. The 2 years after that, they got eliminated in the second round. And then here they are, Stanley Cup champs. So he's seen this kind of franchise rise from the ashes to be, listen, when I grew up, I remember those Joe Sakic teams, the 2000, 2001 Stanley Cup title teams. Though they were cool because they had the cool uniforms, but they had, guys like Patrick Waugh and Joe Sakic playing. They were some of the cool, and Ray Bourque, obviously, in his final season. They were cool. I thought they were kind of fun to root for. And now they're back. They've been gone for a long time, and they're back. And if they can keep this thing together, Nazem Kadri was really good. If they can get a goalie, and listen, Darcy Kemper was good enough to get the job done.
And they stepped up in the final game in that. Yes.
Yep. Darcy Kemper is not the long-term solution if you want to create what the Lightning had. If you want a dynasty, you need that shutdown goalie that you can have to get you wins day in and day out. So they're a goalie, and just keeping that team status quo, a goalie away from being able to do this year after year.
And what they did, you talked about 5 seasons ago where they were, and we know that, then you can draft high. But the bottom line is they kept the coach. They believed in the veteran core, okay? They didn't pull the plug. So many teams do that now in all sports. They pull the plug too early, or they pull the plug on a winning coach, which leads me into, I'm glad Shaun's not here because he would explode, of course, as the Bruins, we know, got rid of Cassidy, and now they just gave an extension to his least favorite GM in sports, Don Sweeney. Okay.
Yeah.
6 weeks after they fire a coach that had the winning season every year for 6 years. This is hockey. Some of these coaches get, brought back, and all of a sudden I get off the plane here and I realize the guy I'm waiting in line for something, and the guy's got they got Bruce Cassidy pretty quickly. There were a lot of offers for him, but
I said that guy will have a job tomorrow if he wants it. It wasn't quite tomorrow, but it was a week later. He was the head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights. Don't have to wait long. But unfortunately for Shaun Martin, he's also not excited that there was a report yesterday that David Quinn is the leading candidate to take over as head coach of the Boston Bruins. I think he almost threw himself off the front porch. He was so disappointed and doesn't want that to come to fruition, which I don't necessarily blame him. But this is the classic retread, cycle of the NHL.
And you have teams in all sports that they want the guys that the players coach. Bruce Boudreau, I told you, I work with him. He's like that. He's Mr. Fix-It. Comes in, hey, you're great. Everybody's great. It wears thin. You lose control. You're done. And out you go. Then you have the hard guy like a Cassidy who replaced the laid-back guy in Claude Julien, okay? Mm-hmm. So Cassidy was the guy that did this. Now you need to change it because some of the players want it. I mean, if you're going to do that, you're going to wind up going with the vets. The best coach I think they had in maybe not my lifetime was Pat Burns. And not many times, I think Ralph Houck is the only manager of the Red Sox who managed the Yankees. Normally, you would never have somebody go to the other side.
Right.
But I'm not. I think the guy is a great coach in the college level, and he showed with the Rangers. I don't think that he can get it done. And Seattle went out and hired Hackstall, who was an awesome coach at college in North Dakota, to struggle with Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, retreads. I just think, when are they going to learn? The NBA, I think, is starting to get it right. You see a guy like Darvin Ham, who got a job with the Lakers. Will Hardy just went from the Boston Celtics on the bench to now getting hired by the Utah Jazz. So I think finally the NBA has started to get it right, because they were a retread league for a long time, and now they're opening their minds a little bit to, Will Hardy was under Greg Popovich with the Spurs. Spent time, obviously, with Udoka and the Celtics. but like give those guys a chance. You're better off giving those guys a chance than having some guy who's already failed in the NBA come back. And it's just, I think it's a worse look when you do that. So,
and how about an assistant with the Warriors who said no to a head job? Okay.
After he said yes.
You want to be a head, but if you're becoming a head coach of an organization that's a disaster, your career could be over.
Yeah.
See Walton, Luke, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not sure I would compare the Hornets to the Kings, but yeah,
No,
I get
but
the
you
idea.
see the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we like to do a fun segment every month. So Shaun's missing out here. Number, and I'm going to tell you, I have never been so excited for a number segment in my life. So go ahead and introduce it.
All right, folks, our faithful followers, we do the number at the end of the month, each number an iconic number, and we've been in single digits lately. This one's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's the number 7, and visions bounce into your head. And Ashley knows her stuff. If I hadn't even sent a whole list of names, she would have 10 right off the top of her head. So I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, and then kick it to Ashley.
Do it.
Number 3, John Elway. He could be one with many other numbers, okay? Mm-hmm. 51,000 passing yards and even 300 TDs, Hall of Fame, 2 Super Bowl titles when we thought he'd never get one. One first team, an MVP, and a 2-time AFC Offensive Player of the Year. Truly remarkable and could be the top in many other numbers. I'm going to shock you here, but I'm putting Mickey Mantle 2, which will lead to who in the world would be 1, okay? Stats, he hit 298, but 536 homers when home runs were really hard to do, 1,500 RBIs, Baseball Hall of Famer. I have many friends that their father, was Mickey Mantle was the one they were drawn to. Mm-hmm. 20-time All-Star, 7-time World Series champ, 3 AL MVP, a Triple Crown, a Gold Glove. And oh, by the way, what could have been, right? If he had been healthy, that comes into play too. So
not only
you're
that,
probably
he
thinking number 1
every day of his life.
Yeah,
I mean, drunk a lot. Maybe that made him play better. I don't know.
I'm glad they weren't the Las Vegas Yankees, so they'd never get to bed.
Yeah, he wouldn't have made it to the field.
Number 1 is not Phil Esposito for me, by the way.
Ooh.
It is Ronaldo.
Whoa!
Ronaldo, how's that?
You didn't even put him on your list. I thought I was going to be surprising and unique, but you stole it.
I'm sorry. What did you say? We kicked out again. Does that surprise you?
You didn't even put him on your list.
No, I didn't.
Beckham on your list, but you strategically left Ronaldo off.
No, I just did a little more investigating. And I'm sorry, and you always say, and you're right about titles matter. You can't do much better than Ronaldo. Okay, mm-hmm. He's like Michael and LeBron, one name. Okay, for folks that don't follow the action on the pitch, Manchester United captains the Portugal national team. He has won 32 trophies in his career, including 70 titles, considered possibly the greatest player of all time. Mm-hmm. He's won 5 Ballon d'Or awards, which is like an MVP in the States, 4 European Golden Shoes, most of a European player, and holds the records for games, goals, assists in the Championship League. One of the few players to have made over 1,100 professional career appearances and has scored official senior goals for club and country. My God, you don't even have to be a soccer fan to know the impact that this man has had, not just on the number 7.
Yeah, I mean, culturally, he transcends the sport. You know what I mean? To be, and we think we know a lot about like the NFL and baseball and athletes. Soccer, football, as they say, in Europe is an entirely different beast. Like you don't know until you've lived there and you've done it, and they're on a different planet over there than we even put like LeBron on a pedestal here. Messi, Ronaldo, they're on a different planet over there. Yeah. This is gonna kind of make me sad, but Elway is an honorable mention for me.
Mhm.
The number I mean, the number 7 is ridiculous.
It is.
Elway is an honorable mention because Phil Esposito does make my list. I'll give you some stats, and then I'm going to throw out like a sort of tie with Phil Esposito. I wanted to include hockey, but 717 goals, 873 assists in 1,282 games. He's a 2-time Stanley Cup champ, 2 Hart trophies, Hall of Famer. Ray Bourque wore number 7.
He did for a while.
Until he wore it for like 8 seasons. Until they retired Esposito's number, he then takes his 7 off and wears 77 for the rest of his career. Yeah. So, in my mind, Ray Bourque is also a number 7. So I'm going to give them sort of a tie because
that's a great tie. Very good.
When you look at Ray Bourque's numbers, I know they aren't as good, but Ray Bourque is a defenseman.
Yeah.
Phil Esposito was not. Phil Esposito's numbers should be better. Ray Bourque, 1,600 games, 410 goals, 1,169 assists. They played, they're most well known for playing for the same team and essentially wearing the same number until Bourque switched to 77.
The best retirement ceremony in sports history, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's my number 3. My number 2 is Ronaldo for all the reasons that you said. And the only reason I didn't give him number 1 is because, we lost Eric. We're losing him. Eric, come back if you hear me, or come back whenever you can. The only reason I didn't make Ronaldo my number 1. Oh, here he is. Adding you to the stream. I'm going to take you out of this one. You're back.
Can you believe this? How many people are in this hotel? Go back. I'm sorry.
Probably a billion. I said the only reason I didn't make Ronaldo my number 1 is because I wore number 7 my entire life, and it was for one player, and his name was Mickey Mantle. So I couldn't personally take him off of my own pedestal. Listen, I never saw the guy play. But growing up as a Yankee fan, I was obsessed with him, just reading about him, everything he stood for. I was an outfielder. He was an outfielder. The numbers he put up, how beloved he was, and what he meant. So I wore number 7 because of Mickey Mantle. I wish I had the chance to see him play, but I could not, in good conscience, not give him my number 1.
Yeah. Well,
but I get Ronaldo. I get it.
This was the toughest without question, and I'm going to throw some others out there, and you go, how do they not pick him? Okay,
yeah.
Craig Biggio, okay, tremendous. Joe Mauer, institution in Minnesota, right, and Pudge Rodriguez, one of the best defensive catchers in baseball history, and an arm that threw out guys at first who took a lead. Then Romero's right? Question about that.
You're cutting out again. What'd you say?
Along with Big Ben, who just retired.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
His number will go up in the rafters. He's a Hall of Famer. You got Jaws, Ron Jaworski with Philadelphia. And then you got Joe Theismann on top of that. And with hockey, Joe Mullen, good career, but Rod Gilbert, another person who we unfortunately lost over the last year. And, oh, by the way, that term, you have David Beckham. Yep. So next time, I guess, Ashley, we could do 10 sevens.
Yeah, right.
But I'm going to go downstairs after the show and play lucky 7s on the slot.
How's that? Do it. And, oh, by the way, Pete Maravich wore 7 with the
Pete Maravich, yes.
And they retired his number. So, yeah, it's there are a lot to be had. 7 is a popular number. I feel like everything's a popular number. But for me, every time I see a 7, it just puts a smile on my face. So, oh, we're losing them again. We're having a tough day. All right, last segment is whiteboards. Here we go. Oh, goodness. Oh, my goodness. Are you muted? You're muted. Let me unmute you.
Yeah, we're good.
There we go.
I'm going to go get a squirrel in the transmitter. Thank you, Mandalay Bay.
All right, we just got whiteboards left, so we'll do this, and you can get the heck out of here and go enjoy your not your vacation, but go enjoy your time in Vegas. I know you're done tomorrow, right? So
yeah, we have a luncheon coming up. All right, so we're going to start with the smallest whiteboard I've ever had on the
Vegas, baby. Now you're frozen again.
Over 25 years since I've been to Las Vegas, okay? And the glimmer and glamour out here more than ever. The Strip is incredible. No place like it. I'm at a convention of athletic communications professionals. I look outside the window, as you saw, and saw that big ring-ding snack cake or spaceship that the Raiders play in. I'm behaving on the tables and the slots. Still a few days to go. And Ashley, I did go to the Raiders team store. You knew I would. And it's black, white, and silver. There's no other color. It's the most black and white place I've ever been in my life. And I also did get a nice gift for Shaun that we will be showing soon on the next show down the road. But the highlight, I have to tell you, was when a friend took me into the theater where Elvis performed. Okay. Ooh. Used to be the Las Vegas Hilton. Elvis is big again, as people know, with the fact that the movie is out. And what a treat. This was the best part of this trip. I got to see his dressing room. I got to see where he stood before going on stage. There's a sticker that said Elvis stood here.
Elvis was here.
Pretty cool. And saw many photos of Vegas legends over the years. Barry Manilow now, when he's here in residence, uses Elvis's locker room. Is my sports, but the dressing room. And the best of all, in my great sports analogy self, okay, it's always about sports. I saw the piano where greats like Liberace and Billy and others twinkled the keys. Barry uses it. I got a photo with touching the keys of this famous piano. I felt like I was touching the Stanley Cup. It was really cool. So let me tweak the saying in my case. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. It'll stay in my memories.
And with everyone who watches across the board.
Across the board.
M&M. I'll make this quick for you. Mine says, "Oh, the Knicks," because it feels like the Knicks are just being so Knicksy. The Knicks went into the NBA draft with the number 11 overall pick. They left without a pick, and instead 3 first-round picks, all of which are protected over the next however many years. So didn't take one of the top talents in the draft. Instead, are going to take future first-round talents, but they will be late future first-round talents because they're lottery protected over the next few years. They've got the Pistons 2023. I'm coming for you. The Pistons 2023 pick, the Wizards 2023 pick, and the Bucks 2025, while also clearing $18 million in cap space. Okay, I partially get it. Then yesterday, they trade Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks to the Pistons to also clear $19 million in cap space. Why? Why are they doing this? Why are they unloading everything? Oh, here's your answer. To go after Jalen Brunson. The problem I have with this is that Jalen Brunson is a good player. They are going to try to make him into a number 1 option. Jalen Brunson is the perfect number 2 to Luka Doncic in Dallas. He is not going to be a number 1 in New York. This is what the Knicks do. And that's why I say, oh, the Knicks, because they're going to offer him something like 4 years, $110 million to a number 2 player in the hopes that they turn him into a number 1. And then years down the road, we're still going to be talking about, oh, the Knicks.
When I missed the headlines out here, did Fred Wilpon buy the Knicks? What the heck is that all about?
It's just
you've created a term that I think should be in the back of the New York Post.
Nixie.
Nixie.
Oh, so Nixie.
Yes. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's misreading, but draft capital is supposed to be, it's capital for a reason, right?
Yeah. They just never, turn it into what they should. And I think they just over evaluate talent.
Yeah.
They over evaluate, overpay talent. It's a vicious cycle. And I feel bad for everyone who wears this bright color. All the Knicks fans out there. All right, Eric. Well, we're going to let you go enjoy the pool, the drinks, the gambling, whatever else you get to do on your trip out to Vegas, the conferences. I know you're working. It's not all fun, but we'll go let you enjoy that. Enjoy the view. Stay cool. Thanks for joining us, M&M across the board. Ashley and Eric. Shaun will be back next week. We'll see you then. Eric, have fun.
We're going to have vacay next few weeks. Thanks so much, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you.